525,600 minutes. If you are familiar with the musical Rent, then you know that 1 year has exactly that, 525,600 minutes. According to gutmatcher.org, the research arm of Planned Parenthood, in the United States in 2017, an average of 1.64 abortions occurred for each of those minutes. That's 862,000 abortions in that year. Since abortion was made legal in 1973, over 63 million abortions have taken place in the United States alone, over 10 times that of the 6 million who lost their lives in the horrors of the Holocaust. But why should you care? Whether you are for abortion or against it, our common goal is the protection of human rights and human dignity. After much extensive research, I have found engaging and compelling information to increase your knowledge and to have you reconsider your position towards abortion. During the remainder of my time, I will reveal to you why abortion is an issue in our society, what choices we have available to resolve the problem, and what you can do personally to make a change. Let's start with the problem. Abortion, defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is the termination of a pregnancy after, accompanied by, resulting in, or closely followed by the death of an embryo or fetus. In other words, abortion is ending a pregnancy by taking the life of a child in the womb. But why does that matter? It's only a clump of cells, it's not a human being, and it's the woman's body, right? Actually, that isn't true. While the fetus may be just a clump of cells, so are you, so am I, just as every living thing is composed of cells. Think about this. A baby in the womb is distinct, human, and alive. Let me explain. The child is distinct from the mother. From the moment of conception, a unique and unrepeatable genetic code is created. The baby's DNA is distinct, separate, different from that of the mother. When a woman is pregnant, she doesn't have 4 arms, 4 legs, or 20 fingers and toes, 2 heads, 2 hearts, and 2 brains. If the woman is pregnant with a little boy, she doesn't have a penis, and she isn't half male. A baby in the womb is human. Never in history has anyone ever given birth to a cat. A fetus in the womb is human because his or her parents are human, and he or she has human DNA. Last of all, a baby in the womb is alive. From the moment of conception, the child has a complete set of DNA, grows and develops, and is comprised of cells. The science of biology tells us that cells are the most basic unit of life, so the preborn baby is unarguably living. If a baby were dead in the womb, it would be a miscarriage or a stillbirth. So if the fetus has 2 of these traits, but not all 3, would it matter? Well, if something is distinct and human, but not alive, then it's dead, and you can't hurt or kill something that's already dead. If something is human and alive, but not distinct, then it's just cells, like skin cells, and if I rub my hands together and thousands of skin cells fall to their death, well, that isn't mass murder. If something is alive and distinct, but not human, then it's an animal or a plant, and it isn't considered morally wrong to slap a mosquito or fix a salad. So obviously, the argument is not if a baby in the womb is human. Rather, the argument is if a baby in the womb is a person, and that's an argument based on morality. So assuming that not all humans are people, what defines personhood? Some people say that because the fetus doesn't look like a person, then it isn't one. So does appearance decide value? Because someone looks better, more attractive, or more human than I do, then they're more of a person? These models behind me show that a baby during different stages of pregnancy. This is 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 26 weeks, and 30 weeks. In the state of Louisiana, you're allowed to abort up to 20 weeks, which is this one. In other states, such as New York, abortion is allowed up to birth. Another argument is that the baby is inside the mother instead of outside and cannot live on its own. According to prolifelouisiana.org, a baby is viable, meaning he or she is able to survive outside of the womb at 6 months, and sometimes even earlier. As medical technology progresses, viability is coming closer and closer to conception. So does personhood and value change with technology? And a pregnant mother in one state or area may have access to better health care than a pregnant mother at the same stage of pregnancy in another area. So, is one unborn child a person and the other not? Even after birth, for many years, babies and children still depend on their parents for survival. And what about people on life support or with oxygen tanks or pacemakers? They cannot live on their own. Should they then be killed? Does location decide personhood? Only a few centimeters of birth canal decide who does and doesn't have a right to life? Sometimes the line is drawn at consciousness or self awareness. According to parentingcounts.org, by using the Rouge test, where a red dot is placed on the child's nose and the child is sat in front of a mirror to see if they rub at the dot, self awareness is not evident until 15 to 24 months old. That's up to 2 years old. Should we be able to kill children up to 2 years of age? Are they less of people just because they aren't self aware? What about a person who's unconscious, such as someone in a coma? Is it moral to kill them? Many times, the exception is made for hard cases such as poverty, rape, incest, abnormality of the fetus, or the life of the mother. Some women in poverty feel that they cannot afford a child and therefore choose abortion. Imagine that I have a 2-year-old in front of me. Her mother does not have enough money to support her. Should the mother have the right to kill this 2-year-old? Well, obviously not. So at what point does the child become a person? At what point is it wrong to kill them? In cases of rape and incest, I'd like to bring a quote from Rebecca Keisling, a pro-life speaker who was conceived in rape. In a video posted on conceivedinrape.org, she says, "When people make the rape exception, or when they say they're pro-choice, especially in cases of rape, that's like saying to me, I think your mother should have been able to abort you, which is like saying, if I had my way, you'd be dead right now. And some people would say, it's nothing against you personally. Well, it affects me personally." End quote. The atrocities of rape and incest create two victims, both the mother and the baby. Aborting the baby is like handing out the death penalty to the child for their father's crime. Is Rebecca Keisling less of a person because of who her father is? Is she less valuable? Does she not have the right to life? Speaking about cases of deformity or mental handicap of the fetus, let's take a look at Iceland. In the article Disappearing Down from CBS News, they cover how Iceland is eradicating Down syndrome. They're killing everyone who has it. In the article, it is explained that around 80 to 85% of pregnant women choose to take the prenatal screening test, and the vast majority of those women, close to 100%, who receive a positive test for Down syndrome terminated their pregnancy. That sounds a bit like genocide to me. So because you have Down syndrome, or a genetic disorder, or a deformity, then you don't matter. You're too much work, you're a burden on society, so because you are not useful, we can kill you. Your usefulness does not determine your value or your personhood. When talking about abortion in cases when the life of the mother is in danger, it is important to remember that pro-life means pro-all life. That means that the life of the baby is not more important than the life of the mother, and vice versa. Their lives are equally precious. Abortion, in and of itself, is never necessary to save the mother's life. However, in such cases, some treatments that are needed to save the mother inadvertently result in the death of the baby. While a preborn baby may not survive treatment, the intent and goal is to save the mom's life, not to end the life of the child. It is also important to note that life of the mother is not the same as health of the mother. The term health of the mother can be applied to almost any temporary discomfort and used to justify the killing of the fetus. If you take anything away from this speech, remember that from the moment of conception, the baby is distinct, human, and alive, and that personhood and value are intrinsic, meaning that they don't rely on external factors. So if we can all agree that human equals person, and that killing an innocent human person is wrong, then let's talk about how to resolve the issue of abortion. The most common solution you may hear is make abortion illegal. While this may resolve the obvious abortions, women in crisis may still feel that abortion is the only option and turn to unhealthy and dangerous methods. While I do push for abortion to be made illegal, more importantly, I push for abortion to become unthinkable and unnecessary. What both sides can agree upon is that no woman ever wants to have an abortion. Women feel like they need abortion because they feel they have no other choice. So, how do we make abortion unnecessary? We make abortion unnecessary by reducing the stigma of adoption and by providing support and care for mothers. Websites and organizations such as bravelove.org and talkaboutadoption.org work to change the perception of adoption through honest, informative, and hopeful communication. These organizations inform women about adoption agencies and offer post-adoption support. They also present educational videos, stories, interviews, testimonials, and available open chats with birth moms and adopted families, and propose information on open adoption. There are many cultural stigmas surrounding adoption that can be broken by better dialogue and understanding of the adoption process, especially with nonprofits and adoption lawyers that truly work to ensure the child's safety and well-being is the top priority. Nonprofits like Catholic Charities work to make adoption of no cost to the birth mother and affordable for adoptive families. In the end, the safety and well-being of the child should be the highest priority, meaning all the legal paperwork, background checks, and time for the mother to surrender is important. Support, care, and compassionate resources are available and should continue to be accessible to women in crisis pregnancies. Websites such as adifficultchoice.com are a pregnancy help resource for women showing pregnancy centers that provide free and confidential services within a certain mile radius of your zip code. After searching my zip code, Ponchatoula, I was given the name, website, phone number, and directions to resource centers as near as 35 minutes from my home. The implementation and continuation of these resources will solve the problem of abortion by supporting a woman so well that she never has to have one. Let's work towards a culture that tells her, you can, you are strong enough, and if you need someone to help, we are here. So what would a culture like that look like? A culture that supports life and women would mean abortion is no longer needed. Women who found themselves in crisis pregnancies would turn to find all the support and resources they needed, and adoption would be a considerable option. On the other hand, if we continue to support the right of women to take the life of another human being, we build a society that values human life only if you are useful. If you are an inconvenience, if you are a burden, if you cannot support yourself, you don't deserve to live. That isn't the kind of society that I want to live in, let alone help create. So what can you do to procure a culture of life, love, and of supporting women and their children? First of all, you can donate supplies or funds to organizations that help women. Pregnancy resource centers always welcome monetary or donations of blankets, socks, diapers, baby formula, and more to assist mothers in need. Second of all, you can learn more about adoption and help end the stigma, or even adopt yourself if you feel called. Third, you can vote to end abortion. While the main goal is to make abortion unnecessary and unthinkable, by increasing support for mothers and decreasing the availability of abortions, we protect both mothers and their baby's right to life. Lastly, you can be kind to women who are going through a crisis pregnancy. Sometimes all it takes is someone to say, I'm here, for a mother to realize that abortion isn't her only option. Finally, to sum everything up, abortion is an issue in our society because it devalues and destroys human life. A baby in the womb is a human person deserving the same rights that any human is offered, including the right to life. To help resolve this dire problem, we can increase the awareness and availability of adoption and resources available to women in need, and vote to end abortion. In this way, we create a culture of life where every human being is a person and every human being is valued. In this way, we can have 525,600 minutes where instead of death, we have life, we have love, and we support women so that they don't feel like abortion is the only option.